Welcome to the EnLight Life podcast with Alexandra Cousins. Together we'll demystify disease and the debates around health, empowering you toward real regeneration and a life of vibrant vitality.
Welcome to the EnLight Life podcast. I'm your host, Alexandra Cousins, and today I'm here with Sharon, one of my ex-clients, still semi-clients, who has an amazing healing and regeneration story to tell of her own. We're going to be talking about something quite controversial that Sharon dove into without my assistance. So that's not something that I offer. But urine therapy is something that Sharon discovered on her journey of healing and regeneration. And I thought, I wanted to bring her on because I feel everyone needs to know about all the potential things that are at our fingertips. This in particular is for free. And so we need to know what is at our fingertips for our healing and regeneration. So thank you, Sharon, for joining us here and for being willing to share your story, your knowledge that you have gathered.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. I'm really grateful for you being part of my process as well.
So before we dive in with, of course, all the interesting bits about urine therapy, I kind of want to set the stage a little bit because when you came to the enzyme work and the detox work and regenerative work with me, gosh, it feels like, was it 2 years ago?
Possibly, I think maybe a little bit over. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you started with detoxing with the enzymes, and I still remember you took Epetide, the wonderful peptide bioregulator, which is an amazing product. And when you sent me the photo, the before and after, you literally looked like you had just had kind of like not even a facelift, like a whole face and body lift, and you just looked incredibly rejuvenated. And I remember how impressed you were. But then I also remember how, because of your particular complex situation, the results didn't last. And in some ways, certainly not because of Epetide, but you slid back into sort of still worse health issues. And ultimately, we decided also because there were some budget constraints. And, I always say, I want to give everyone the best possible information and opportunity for healing. And so together we decided, hey, let's ship you off to India to the Ayurvedic doctor that we work with as part of our academy, Dr. Patel, the amazing Dr. Patel. And so off you went very bravely. I mean, I mentioned it and I thought, I don't know what Sharon is going to think about it, but you're like, yeah, sure, let's go. So you went to India for a whole month and we're taken care of in his clinic where you had some wonderful results. But ultimately, when you came back, you still, because of your very critical situation, and you can, of course, add to the story, but you still had a lot of work to do. And how did you then from there find urine therapy?
Okay, well, it was interesting because when I was in India, I noticed Dr. Patel talked to me very much about, he was talking about cow urine, and it was used on some of the Ayurvedic medicine. And when I came back, it was sort of synchronicities, is that another girl had shown me how she had a gross disfigured thing from a tick, and her whole face is swollen up, and she talked about that. And then I remember Troy Casey as well, for 6 years ago when I was in a critical condition, bedridden. He talked about a free thing because I had no money of urine therapy, and I was like, no, I'd rather die. So because I'd heard all these things, they were there, and I'd researched it, and I got quite desperate. It was something where I woke up in the middle of the night and just went, I'm desperate right now, and if I go to hospital, I know I'm not going to come back in because on my record they'll inject me with blood thinners, warfarin, all sorts of things, which is going to cause another thing. And I just went, I'm going to chug, because when you were talking about like those histamine responses that I was blowing up and detox reactions from the Ayurveda stuff that was going on, like there was just so many things. I just went, it's antihistamine. So that was sort of the big answer for me. I was like, it's worth a try. And within 5 days, I was like able to breathe properly. When I had my first couple of cups, I just continually looped it and started researching madly. It became an obsession, and went, wow, there's something really in this. And that's where I went crazy with
Amazing, Sharon. So
So yeah, that's sort of, yeah,
let's maybe
amazing.
set the stage a little bit so that people can understand really how critical your condition was and your state. Obviously, we have the pictures to prove it, but for those that are only listening to the podcast, the pictures, and I've shown your pictures also to others to kind of say, look at what's possible. And people always go, no, this is not possible, because before you literally looked like you were at death's door, and besides inflamed and puffy and all the things. And now, because it's not just weight loss that happened for you, I mean, it's loss of inflammation and real youthening and regeneration that I don't even think even a facelift probably wouldn't have gotten you to this degree. So really, you've done extraordinary work. And of course, it was also not easy, because I feel it's also important that when we talk about all these things, I want people to really understand and to come away with the full knowing, when we are in a bad state that has been going on for many years, as in your case, no matter what you do, nothing is going to just take you out of it within weeks. I mean, you've been working at this basically, as we said, for longer than 2 years now. But the beauty is that little by little by little, you have and you are regenerating in ways that were just not deemed possible.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm doing yoga in a class. I do advanced yoga now, which is full of 30-year-olds. I'm the oldest one in the class. So that's what I can do, a handstand. Like I never even could do that as a kid.
Unbelievable.
So, this is amazing. So, yeah, it's been a lot of discipline and doing a lot of journaling and working with things coming up that come up during fasting and emotional work. And then I've done a little bit of peptides and things as well. But yeah, it's been a huge process. But yet when you look back at it, it's quite simple.
Right, yes. As with all things,
Yeah.
exactly. When we look back, we kind of go, yeah, okay, it was hard, but, also not that hard. And, I did it. But when we are at the threshold, and I do encourage the listeners, because we will have your photos. Well, we will have your photos and your information in our Create Health Collective, where Sharon will also be offering her course. Part 1 will be free of charge, and part 2 will have a fee attached to it, because Sharon has become quite the expert. And this is because we want to make these teachings, which at the end of the day are really free of charge, because urine is free of charge. We make it. We want these teachings to be available to everyone. And I feel in today's world, where so many people are needing real healing and regeneration, and who are often in a desperate state because they don't have money. I always say money is not the obstacle, because there are many, many things that we can do. And so, of course, Sharon, you have, I think, also very skillfully and cleverly and bravely mixed. You've made the most out of your situation. And I also fully know that, your kind of rebirthing is only happening, it's barely happening. Like you're just tapping into, I mean, who knows where you are going to be in a few years, because really you are just such an inspiration of a woman. And I know that many, had they known you before, no one would have been able to say she's going to make it, right? But you did, and you are, and in such phenomenal ways. So what do you feel gave you the strength, and what are your words of wisdom for people who maybe are now in your shoes? They don't really have a lot of money to spend on products, and they're desperate, and they're scared, and they're inflamed and overweight and fatigued and all the things.
The power and everything, all the solutions are within you. So it's really trusting yourself. And to me, it's been a self-acceptance journey. Like drinking your urine is, it's like, first of all, because we're so indoctrinated, it's disgusting, but it's only ultra filtrated blood when you really look into it. And, in the womb, we've been already ingesting it. Movie stars do it as well, but it's like, once you get your head around it, you actually, when you read biofeedback and looping that, you're actually learning to accept yourself, and the power that you have to heal yourself comes completely within, and it actually intuitively will guide you on your process into your natural ability to heal and the intelligence of that. So it's complete trust in yourself, and you'll activate that on your journey as well. And that's what I've fully had to embrace, is that I needed to accept myself and who I truly was, and that I can heal myself, and it wasn't going to come from outside of me. And that process has been 100% embodying that. And the more and more I do that, and it teaches me to be me. It makes you you. So yeah, it's trust yourself. So it's big. That's the biggest thing, is that we have the power inside every one of us. And when we cut our finger, we heal it. The body's intelligence will heal that. And when we get the flu, we get the cold, and the fever comes up. If we just get out of the way and let that fever come through, all this stuff too, and most people would know, is if we, even to put blankets on us and let that fever come out and sweat out whatever, the body knows what to do. And we get in the road of that with looking for answers outside, and we're constantly, that adds into the stress and the cortisol, and that's sort of added into my problem. I'm like, I'm desperate. And at the end of the day, it was me at the end of it, and the people that came on my pathway and all those little things that led me to the urine therapy. But yeah, I had to basically try everything first until full circle, till I could accept myself, which is
Yes,
interesting.
I so love everything you just said. And again, one could listen and go, oh, well, I've heard this a million times. She makes it sound so easy. Isn't there something else to it? Come on, there's gotta be something else to it. And it's like, no, I agree. That is all there is to it. We all have the capacity to turn our lives around completely. And I always say, you can hang at the edge of the cliff by the power of your fingernail, and you can pull yourself back up.
Wow.
And certainly that is what you have done. And it's been such a privilege to witness you on the journey, really kind of from the get-go, and to see. But even from the get-go, what was really impressive to me about you is that you were just willing to make a plan. Like, to you, it wasn't like, oh, like you were not stuck in victimhood. You were willing to make a plan. And at the same time, because I have heard some of your story, sure, yeah, heartbreaking story, hard story, right? It's not like you had it easy. And yet, here you are. And I think really the medicine for those listening that are finding themselves in a position where it's like, I just can't. Well, you can, and that we can sustain way more than we think we can. And I also think that the minute that we change our perspective really from why me and poor me and all of that to what do I do with this now to change it around? And I really feel the answers will always come, and we can, one of my favorite sayings is, let's surprise ourselves. Like, let's see how wild we can, right, blossom and become kind of the opposite of what we thought we were. And so that's where also I feel you are such a testimony to that. So to those listening, maybe, obviously we've given them some insights, and I would say, if you're listening to this and you feel even half a call, join us in the CHC, reach out to Sharon, and just learn about this, because it is a very, very powerful tool that when there's nothing else left, well, why not? Why not try this? So maybe here's the thing, Sharon, how would you tell someone to overcome if someone's going like, oh my God, this sounds so amazing. I'm so inspired by this woman. I want to do it, but I don't think I can actually drink urine.
So what I would suggest, and this is what I really encourage, is first put a little bit on your left hand for a couple of days so that you can get the feel on your skin and the acceptance of that, and see basically the hydration that comes, and then compare it to your right hand. That just gives you a little dabble in. And then maybe get a dropper and put a couple of drops under your tongue for a couple of days as well. So that's basically dipping your toes in, just to get you to start to taste it, because then you'll notice that it's not that bad. So that's probably the best thing I would suggest. And then graduate into your morning pee, and probably have half a glass or whatever you feel to have. And then when you feel like drinking more, drink a few more out throughout the day. That's how simple it is to start.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Very simple.
I mean, I can share a little bit of my limited, but I have a little bit of experience with urine therapy. When I was very ill, I was doing aged urine therapy or aged urine enemas. So I couldn't drink it, but I did do the aged urine enemas for quite a while, and I can only say that it was really, really good, and I did feel how they were very, very healing for sure. And then I think I was also I was putting it on my face, and I don't know, I do think it did something good. And then another interesting experience that I had, actually about 2 years ago, I had I think it's called keratosis, like a little spot on my face. And I was like, oh, I don't want to go to the doctor for it. I mean, I knew what it was, whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Every time I go to the bathroom, let me just put some urine on. We'll see what happens. And I can't remember how long it took, but not that long, and it fell off. So, and that was that. It hasn't returned. So, definitely in a few lessons around urine therapy that certainly have given me a positive experience, a very positive experience, and it definitely make me not doubt it in the least. Then again, one look at you and sort of your whole experience, and again, what is there to doubt? And then just to maybe also, for clarity's sakes, so you were doing urine therapy, obviously now for already the last year, you've been doing fasting on urine, which is kind of like a whole nother level.
Yes.
So how is that?
So good. I found the most like the big way to get everything under control has been, I started off doing like 10-day fast. I started with stepping in, and I continued to do that. I've done about 4 10-day complete Orin. So that's where you get quite a lot of healing. It's extremely deep. And I think, and as you know, I did it for about 6 weeks originally. And I was just doing very plant-based minimal food. And when I was in a 5-day fast, I had, with doing the evolved Orin enemas, anything from 2 weeks old that I'd been storing, I ended up having a very interesting surprise come out in the toilet because I was during the fast going, not eating, and that's where I had those delightful Chinese dumplings fall into the toilet of the cancer polyps and went, wow. And so that was then interesting to discover what that was. They looked like Chinese dumplings. There was no massive blood, and just went, oh my God, I'm so activated by this. I was like, that's massive. And that would also explain, with what's going on in my body, why I was feeling so sick. So that was very interesting. So yeah, a lot of fasting. I now do juice fasting with the Orin because I need to function on a daily basis, and I'm in a fast again now, longer periods, because when I eat cooked food, my body gets inflamed again. So I'm finding this keeps me between the two worlds and able to function. I keep happy, my hormones and everything. It's just it's a slower process. So at the moment I'm still fasting. I'm doing a little bit of the peptides as well, the epitide, I think it is. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few weeks, I don't know how long they take to kick in. So I can't remember last time. I think it takes a couple of weeks. You'll see it after you've taken them for a month. So it'll be interesting to see how that works with the fasting. But now I just combine and do as much fasting as I can. So, yeah, it's just staying in those states and doing the Orin, lots of Orin.
Yeah, no, I remember when you sent me the images of those Chinese dumplings, and immediately I was like, this looks like cancer.
Well, no, you didn't say it either. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it looked pretty nasty, and I mean, just astounding, astounding. And at the same time, we shouldn't be astounded, right? Because, and of course, with my own experience of extensive fasting and juice fasting and all of that, I do know very well the enormous capacity that our body has for healing and regeneration. And the fact that we are still doubting that, and that many people would put this down to nonsensical, charlatan, is like, oh, it's sad. It's sad. Because only if we know, do we have real power. Now, it's a bit like I say to people, I am not, the only reason why I'm not drinking my urine is because, I'm honest, I'm not motivated enough to do it. But the fact that, your experience and many others, of course it works. And so if I ever find myself in a situation, or when I have clients who maybe say, they have a limited budget, well, let's do some urine therapy, right? And I think this is the importance. It's to know what we have available, because we have so much available at our fingertips. And then if we also intelligently combine it with some enzymes, with some peptides, wow, you're going to get exactly.
It amplifies
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you get so much more out of it. And also, why dismiss something that is just so freely available and it can help so many people? And as we discussed, we don't even need to drink it to have the benefits, because we can, even just the enemas. I mean, the enemas were really, really powerful. And maybe I'll even do another round again just to kind of like re-experience the effects. And so let's maybe talk a little bit about the course that you're going to be presenting in our Create Health Collective, which is really a membership site. It's where, you have all the information available for self-learning and to take your health to the next level. And I like to invite people like Sharon to come and share their experiences, their teachings, because it's really meant to be a community forum where we can learn together about all the things that are going to help us to take our health to the next level. And the beautiful thing is we have so much available. And so, Sharon, what is the course going to be about? You said it's in 2 phases. And will you also be able to offer some guidance, some coaching, maybe for those who desire it?
Yes, absolutely. So the first one is dip your toes in and just to get the history, my story, what's possible. Also, little suggestions I was talking about before, resources where you can go and research more and be inspired by videos if you want to, links or books to read as well. And, basically the fun side of it as well. So a little bit about, what's possible. And there's a little bit on, I'm just trying to think on the mystical side, the history, and it's just the basics to get what is urine basically too. So exactly what it is, what it does, what's the components of it extensively, so what's possible. It's just to get the disgust that we're indoctrinated about that. So it's just a real introductory. This number 2 is diving in deep, protocols that you can do on a daily basis. So going into how to apply that, how to age that, also, pathways that you can take, more research if you want to, and how to fully embody that and complement into your life. And so it's just to inspire you, more resources again. And I offer as well programs, which will be 10 packs over 3 months, which is 24/7 online support, except for, my hours where I need to get some sleep, but backup support. If you need that to go into fasting states and you've got something similar condition to me with mass, with your fibros and things like that, I do a tailor-made program for each person. So depending on what they are after they've done an initial questionnaire, and we do a free discovery call just to see if we're a fit, and then I'll offer my packages, and then they can have that support to get them to set them up for a, inspiration, motivation, and just to get your head around embodying the practice, to incorporate that to reduce your medical bills, your dentist visits, all that sort of stuff. Independence, basically, and empowerment.
Amazing.
So,
yeah, I think it's very necessary with any such path, especially at the beginning, to get some good guidance. It's just going to accelerate one's results. And as always, right, those of us who have done the journey will be able to offer the guidance. So I think, if you're inspired by this, certainly have a look at Sharon. Sharon, where can people find you?
At the moment, you can find me on Facebook. It's Sharon Sky Dancer. And you can also find me on Instagram. It's Yippee Queen Sacred Balance community. I can't remember whether it's Sacred Balance. Yeah, it's Yippee Queen Sacred Balance. Sorry about this. Community. You'll find me on Instagram, and my email address is blu-ray-ninja108 at protonmail.com. So it's Blu-ray Blu-ray Ninja 108. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory, at the moment, until I've got my website.
Amazing. Well, we're going to have your links linked in the podcast for sure. And, you can also always reach out to us and find Sharon that way. So maybe in closing, let's go a little bit deeper into, what were your conditions. I mean, you've had some crazy sort of health history for many years. So there's been a lot going on. And I think maybe to just clarify for the listeners also, so that, those listeners can identify with you, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So the conditions I've had, which thanks to you, I think was a bit of a game changer by saying it's one of the big things I think was the underlying that you mentioned was the mast cell activation syndrome.
Yeah.
What do you call it, MACAS or whatever? Was pretty much the underlying thing as well, was having the histamine response to everything. Fibromyalgia. Also had blood clots to the heart and lungs. I had 2 pulmonary embolisms. That it was all from pharmaceuticals. I also lost a lot of weight with regeneration through some of the enzymes and peptides. And remember, I regenerated, but then I made the mistake of going out and getting CoolScope done to try and work with a flab on the stomach. So that was a bit of a, how do I say it in a nice way without swearing, a bit of a balls up. So that pretty much sent me into a very, very bad state. And also getting mercury taken out through my teeth and dental anesthetics. I'd say that's because of the masses. So I made a shitstorm. So shitstorm, I don't know what condition that is, but I created that one from trying to clean up my body a little bit. What else have I had? I've had a chronic glandular fevers, adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue. It's just been, and I think it was gastro. I started off with gastroenteritis when I was 5 years old, which set me up for a life of really bad digestive issues. And as I got older and stressed and not knowing that I need to deal with all that, it just compounded into, lots of stuff that was reacting with the mass. So lots of things, you name it. So as you know, with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue's a big one, and inflammation was just up and down. I'd get better, get worse. So it was a cycle of, nothing was working, and the more supplements I was taking, the more I was just reacting. I got desperate. So,
and I think this is where also it's important for, those of you listening that find yourselves in Sharon's story, and even if it's different symptoms or so-called diagnoses, the reality is that by the time that there's a lot going on, which often happens when we become middle-aged, but we've never really resolved our health issues, then all of a sudden we are this, what we call, shitstorm, hot mess, whatever we want to, because it's not one thing, it's a lot of things. And I would say the biggest thing that I want each one of you in this situation to take away is that it's going to take time, or actually 3 points. Point number 1 is it's not one thing. It's many things that need to be addressed, which makes it complex. And I would say, the reason why I have so many clients in those situations is because there are not enough practitioners that understand the complexities. And it's disheartening, because I know what it's like to be in a position where like, oh my God, right? Like everything is just snowballing. What do I do? And so you, as an informed client, patient, you need to advocate for yourself, because you need to know it's not just one thing that's going on. It's a lot of things that are going on. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, it's going to take time. Don't think that you're going to do anything, peptides, urine therapy, you name it, enzymes, and boom, 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 in a month or 2 or 3, things are going to come right. No, it's hard. It is hard, right? Like, let's not sugarcoat it. But the beauty is that it's doable, and that you can absolutely heal and regenerate. And this is where, someone like Sharon really is such a powerful testimony, because as there are not many in the world, There are, but not that many in the world. Why? Because most people simply don't get the help and the care when they are in that situation. And then they don't have the faith and the resilience. So know that you can heal, know that you can regenerate. And I would say point number 3 is when you start on the regenerative protocols, you don't stop. Because many people, they start something, right? And then they go, oh, it's just not working, I give up. No, you do not give up. You just continue going. Sometimes we need to pace ourselves. Sometimes, we need support. So I would say actually point number 4 is whatever it's going to take, you need support. And you need support from someone that has done it, because someone who hasn't done it, who hasn't walked the journey, like, for example, I would never counsel anyone in urine therapy, in urine fasting. I haven't done it. I've done a ton of other fasting, but how can I teach someone or counsel someone in urine fasting if I have never done it? So you need to work with someone who has done it, who's been through it, and come out the other side. But it is possible, and the impossible is possible nowadays. But if you listen to doctors, bless them, because, sure, there's some bad ones, as there's bad in all, but most doctors, they are here to help. They are, they started doing what they're doing because they want to help, but their understanding is limited to what they have been taught by the powers that be, and by what they want them to know. And then there's a few doctors who have ventured outside of the powers to be, and they know more. But the reality is there are more non-doctors nowadays that have profound wisdom and knowledge in terms of all of these alternatives. That's the reality. So, Sharon, what are your last words of wisdom as you're sitting there in your beautiful glow, in your yogic glow? I can see the yogic glow.
Yeah, I love yoga now. There's 2 things, as I've mentioned before. It's trust and commitment, like you just reiterated, is you've got to commit to yourself. Because yes, I suppose when you look at it on the other level, on the healing journey, if you abandon that, you're abandoning yourself. So yeah, it's trust. It makes you. Your healing journey is all about, it's putting yourself first. I mean, as I mentioned to you before, is I spent over $100,000 looking for answers. But I knew that I was worth that, and no money can pay for me at 53 now. Is I'm having my life that I never had, which means, I'm doing the creative side of things now. I've been writing rap songs. I just produced my first rap video to market to the world about pee, to change the disgust on it. I'm doing what caused my disease, which was not tapping into my creativity. So yeah, I'm committed to that, and committed to trusting and committing, and exactly all those things that you said, and not abandoning that. That's part of the healing journey, and making that big effort. So yeah, mine is, at the end of the day, is be your true you, and your true you is magnificent and radiant, and you uncover that with people like yourself and your beautiful healing support channel that you have, and I really am grateful for everything that you've done for me, because that's helped me through some pretty wild and dark times. So pick the people that you're going to work with. Be very cautious, and I 100% support Alex, that that she does a big role in this, and your wisdom, and you walk the path, and trust yourself and trust those people that you attract in, and once you commit to that, you've got that recipe
amazing
that makes you.
Well, Sharon, I knew from the get-go that you were one inspiring woman, and and you will remember back then also I said, like, you are going to be such a badass. And of course you are, and I'm excited. And I love the fact that I've listened, I've heard your rap song, and it's like so phenomenal and so cool that you've done that. I absolutely love that. Because also we do need to have fun. I really feel we need to have fun on this journey of healing and regeneration. It's not all that serious. It's not all that serious. You know, sometimes it can feel serious, but after all, we are magical beings and our bodies are infinitely resourceful. It is just mind blowing. So, for anyone that wants to experience true magic, just go on a healing and regenerative journey. That's really all you need to do. You know, if you're not a non believer in magic, go and regenerate yourself. And however which way you decide to do it, you are going to discover just how magical and powerful and infinite you are. And so thank you, Sharon, for sharing your beautiful story. And I can't wait for you to teach it in the community, for people to be inspired, because it is absolutely an inspiring story. And then I'm telling the listeners, wait until you see the photos of Sharon, because those are just absolutely incredible. So thank you, Sharon, for joining me, and for your dedication and commitment and your absolute resilience. I think that's also something, you know, to never mind what you've done, but it's really the spirit that you carry that is absolutely, it's who you are that is inspirational. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Well,
Yeah.